thanks so much for being here. I'm really excited. We have an awesome creator panel for you today. And we're going to hear, hopefully, a few secrets, as well as some tips on building worlds in Horizon and really pushing the limits of what's possible, which I think this panel really represents. But first, I want to do a quick audience poll. Raise your hand if you have built and published a world in Horizon. Wow, all right. Now wait, hold on. Keep your hands up. Been building for more than 1 year. For more than 2 years.
Oh.
For more than 3 years. For more than 4 years? All right, I love this. I love this so much. This is awesome. So I'm Jen, by the way, Jen Fulse, for those of you that don't know me. I've been supporting programs and creators in Horizon for the last 3 years. And it's been really great, and what I love about programs is you all, these folks, really being able to hear from creators, listen, and advocate for them. With that, I'd love to do a quick round of introductions. Nick, let's start with you. And while we're doing this, we'll have some video playing as well, just kind of showing you some quick hits of what they've done. Oh, also, I want to remind you that we will save time for Q&A. So start thinking about your questions now. You're going to be able to get up and ask some questions of these creators as well. So Nick, can you kick us off? Tell us a little bit about you.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here. My name is Nick Hill. I'm co-founder and chief innovation officer of Sawhorse. Sawhorse is a creative agency that builds branded experiences for some of the biggest brands in the world. We do it in the form of video, and we also have kind of grown our capabilities into building immersive worlds for brands on some of the biggest platforms in the world, like Roblox and Fortnite and Zepeto and Rec Room, and most recently, we just got into Meta Horizon Worlds, and it's been a really amazing experience.
And you've been partnering with Eugene a little bit, right?
Yeah, I mean, he was the main partner for our game, Yeet Yourself.
Yeah.
Eugene, you want to tell us a little bit about your background?
Yeah, my name is Eugene Margolis, AKA Morgul. You might know me from tearing up the dance floor last night. But you might know me from my games, Samurai Tycoon, Thieves and Warlocks, the whole Element Battling series, all those. And then, yeah, recently made Yeet Yourself with Nick's studio Sawhorse.
Thanks, awesome. Gustav, please.
Hi, yeah, so I'm Gustav Linde. I'm one of the co-founders at The Gang. We're a studio that work on UGC platforms, and we do both branded integrations, help brands bring their brand into gaming, and we do our own original games as well. And yeah, we released Big Jim's Gym Sim on Meta Horizon.
That's always a tongue twister every time I try to tell anyone about it. Matthew, please.
Yeah. So hello everybody. I'm Mathieu. I'm the studio director at Albion, and Albion is part of the Atlas V group, and we are doing a lot of immersive content. We have been doing this for many years. We did some quest, cinematic thing, immersive things. We did some games. We did a lot of things, and now we are starting to build worlds. And we released like Jabu Jabu earlier this year, and we are now working on 2 more games that are going to be released next month.
That's great, and I'd love to get into a bit about details about what brought you to Horizon and what you think of when you're building worlds.
Yeah, I mean, we've been interested in starting a lot of things in the gaming space, because as I said, we were mostly doing like immersive cinema or immersive content before that were not so much interactive. And I personally have a background in gaming. I've been working in the gaming industry for 15 years. And when I joined the company, I said we should explore a bit more what we can do in VR and gaming in VR and stuff like this. And so we hooked up. We were working with Meta before, and we were really interested in testing the platform, testing what we can do with it. And it's funny because the first game we did is actually mobile only, so we didn't do VR in the end. But yeah, it was really great testing the platform, reaching new players, using the tools and everything. So yeah, it was extremely interesting for us. Yeah.
It's been really fun as we've been preparing for this panel, and I've gotten to know the creators a little bit more about the different backgrounds. You know, you and Albion coming from VR and having Worlds be your first kind of intro into mobile experiences. And then thinking of Gustav and your background, can you tell us a little bit more about how you've built for maybe other platforms and what brought you to Horizon Worlds?
Yeah, so we have built a lot, mainly on Roblox, but also Fortnite, and we consider ourselves platform agnostic, so we always keep an eye open for new platforms. And it's probably not a popular opinion here, but the reason we went to Horizon was because of the mobile and desktop versions, and that got us super excited about it. So our game is mobile only.
And again, it's great to have you two that are both a bit newer, I would say, to Worlds and building for Worlds, and then Eugene.
Yeah. So my background is non-technical. I'm actually a lawyer by training, but I love making things, and I just love building. And I've written, I've painted, I've done woodworking, and I came to Horizon about almost 4 years ago. And it just became my favorite creative medium that I'd ever experienced. And it just felt magical. And this is the in VR headset creator. And it just felt like I could kind of do anything. And so yeah, I really fell in love with it. I really fell in love with the creator community, many of whom are here supporting us. So thank you so much. And it's just been a magical experience.
And talk to me a little bit, because obviously you've been the most prolific world builder up here. Where do you get your inspiration from? How do you decide what to build next?
I wouldn't say the most, but I tend to go with a mechanics first build style, where I just kind of prototype and tinker and figure out what feels good to do, like what feels great in this medium, and I will then build a game around that. And the idea is that you find what the player will be doing the most often and make that feel the best thing to do, and then the whole experience kind of loops back in on itself, and you try to get them to do that thing the most. So I really like I don't really start with a high concept. I really just start with like what feels the best in the moment. And with VR, that's very physical, that's very fast-paced. And then for mobile, you kind of have to shift your thinking and figure out, well, what feels good on mobile. So it's been a really fun kind of philosophical journey just to figure that out as we move on to the new platform.
And maybe Eugene or Nick, can you tell me a little bit about what inspired you to build Yeet Yourself? What was that? You were thinking of just yeet and fling yourself across.
Well, I think one thing that I really like about these UGC gaming platforms, and I've found it to be consistent across all the ones that we've developed on, is that they're really fun and wacky, and the community likes to just get crazy and do crazy shit. So I always try to lean into that. So we sort of built this concept around meme culture, like really trying to piggyback on the weirdest stuff that exists online. What does it look like? How does it feel? And then apply a mechanic that was also super fun to kind of do, right?
Yeah, and I mean, and for me, it's actually a perfect example of the kind of building I like to do, because, when thinking about, okay, well, what feels good on mobile and VR, that, pulling back something, which you can do either, physically or just with your finger, and then letting it go and kind of seeing, a physics-based kind of craziness happen in front of you, like, that just feels great. That feels great on both, in both media. And so, yeah, it's a great example of a mechanics first game, but also one with just terrific artwork and kind of the wackiness and craziness that we thought would be really appealing.
Awesome, awesome. And Gustav, can you tell me a little bit more about the inspiration behind what you build and how you plan for what you may be building next?
Yeah, so I think making games, you can either do games that you want to play, or you can make games for a specific audience. For me, I have been playing games my whole life. I've been working as a professional in the games industry for 25 plus years, and if I made a game for me, there would be 3 people in the world that wanted to play it. So I try to take inspirations from others. Big Gyms is based on a game that we have on Roblox that was super successful, and called Strongman Simulator. And the idea for that came from me talking to my son, who said, Dad, look how strong I am. And I asked him, okay, but what do you do when you're strong? And he said, well, you can pull a train. So we made a game about like you start pulling feathers, you work out and get ripped, and then eventually we'll be able to pull a train.
And can you talk a little bit more when you think about the audience that you're building for? Tell us how you think about marketing to that audience. How do you bring them into your world?
I think it's about, to me, it's a lot about, like, I'm saying that I'm not making games for myself, but I'm trying to make games that I grew up loving to play. Like, we are trying to make an adventure. Like, it should be exciting and fun. And this world is not like the real world. You should always wonder, like, what's next? So I think immersion is important.
How about you, Matthew? What do you think about that when you're thinking about building for the audience and how you bring them into your world?
Yeah, it's really interesting because when we decided to build for Horizon World, we had the constraint of doing something for mobile because we wanted to do both VR and mobile. In the end, we ended up only with mobile. So we were looking at mobile, what works on mobile, how can we do a cool game with Horizon World on mobile. And so we brainstormed with the entire team, asking everybody for ideas to throw things around. And there was like the Suica game at this point that was really popular. And we said, heck, how could we do something really fun? And our philosophy is always to have immediate fun. Like it's what Gustav said, we need players to have fun like really fast. And sometimes the friction in Horizon World is a bit high. So we really had to think how we can use the platform to make something really fun really quickly. And the merge game is a really good idea for this because it's immediately you understand exactly what you have to do. You throw two things, they merge together, you get the game, and that's it, you can play. So we really try to find, as Eugene said, cool mechanics, easily understandable, and also then bring a lot of stuff around. We put really hard care into the art, also the art direction of the game, the visuals, to have something that pops out in the store, which is really important for marketing and to bring users into it. And I think as the platform expands, you won't always target fun first, but maybe players will start and come for other things, like like cozy games are a huge trend right now. So I think you need to know what you are looking for, know what the audience is looking for, and try to build around that, and be extremely effective in the way you deliver the promise of the game.
And you've also expanded on Jabu Jabu
Yes.
some, right?
Yeah, we did because there was a funny thing because in Jabu Jabu it's a mobile game only. We don't really use any social features too much. We have competition, we have leaderboards that works really well. But we wanted to do a multiplayer version of the game that was released last month. And so we keep testing stuff like how can you play with friends? How can you play in VR as well? Because I said we didn't do VR, but we start thinking about this. And so yeah, we expand the world. We have a lot of ideas to add some stuff to this world. We also work a lot now on retention because we have a strong core gameplay, but retention is also another thing to build into the game. So we are thinking about new features of progression, of journey, what you unlock. Also with the clauses like Horizon avatar clauses and stuff like this, how can we integrate it to the game? Because you don't see your avatar into Jabu Jabu, so closing is not really, how can we put the avatar somewhere and make it fun and make it useful for the players and stuff like this. So yeah, there's so much to explore on the platform that it's great. Yeah.
Now, I know I promised the audience a few secrets here. Who wants to share maybe something that they think is a lesser known tip or secret of how do you grow your audience, how do you retain your audience in your worlds?
Well, I'm not sure it's a secret, but I can't overemphasize the importance of community and building community using either tools in Horizon or off-platform tools like Discord if need be. But I think people kind of talk about community like, sure, every game should have community, but I think you really need to ask yourself, like, how do you make a game capable of supporting that community? Mm-hmm. And that includes things like competition, skill, lore, history, like mysteries, like things that people can actually talk about and things that make people want to congregate, whether it's in your game or off, and kind of continue that play experience, really wherever they are. So I think, again, I'm not sure it's a secret, but something that I think about a lot is how do I expand the experience beyond just what's happening in front of the players when they're there.
Yeah, and just to piggyback on that, it's just live ops. You know, it's like I think a lot of people make the mistake of, you know, spending all their resources right at the start, and they make a really cool game with a fun core loop, with a lot of stuff to unlock, and then they release it, and then players have a ton of fun, and then they kind of unlock everything, and they don't really have that reason to come back. So just having a strategy around, you know, a cost-effective, realistic strategy around live ops will really help you grow and maintain and retain an audience.
Gustav, Matthew, how do you think about live services in your worlds?
I think, yeah, live ops, and if it's like one secret and something that I would say that focus on one thing at a time. Like start with the first-time user experience, like the onboarding, set up funnels and measure and like push the number just higher and higher. And once you're done with that, move on to the next thing. Then you start with retention. And if you keep growing a game like that, and it's part of live ops, like it's the early live ops. Don't focus on new content if you don't retain the early users.
Yeah.
But make it, one thing at a time.
That's a great point. And it's like react to the data. You know, it's so important. And it's not a secret, but I think more people should leverage it. Take as much data as you possibly can and try to find every little detail. And then if you really study it, you can improve your game, and like it's the smallest little changes can have these big results. You know, if you see data that's saying after 4 minutes people are like dropping off, you have to figure out like why is that? Then you go in for 4 minutes, you're like, oh, I think they're hitting this UI thing is complicated, or they don't know how to play it again, or what they're getting confused. You make that change, you launch, and then all of a sudden it's like retention time goes up by 2 minutes. And if you could keep doing those type of changes, that's how you like perfect a game.
Yeah. My take would be something we are experimenting with right now is acquisition and all the strategies to bring users into the world. It's still a bit tough for Horizon World, but I think the main thing we can get from mobile industry, mobile stuff is really working on your key assets like marketing assets, trailers, video ads, the store page. All of this is extremely important. And as the store grows, it's going to be really important for discovery for players to have, as I said, like something that pops off, like the title of the game as well. We tinkered a lot with the name of the game to put keywords in there for research and stuff like this. It becomes more and more important, I think, for this. Yeah.
Can I actually ask?
Please.
Because I remember, because you launched Jabu Jabu, and then I remember seeing it renamed Jabu Jabu Merge Game.
Yeah. We tried a few stuff. Yeah. We tried merge. I don't know. We tried like splash or whatever. We tried a few keywords in there and try to A/B test. It's not extremely easy right now, but we try to get some data and see what works. And we wanted. It's always tough because you want to give the proper information for the players to know what they are going to click on. As I said, there is nothing worse than a player clicking on an icon or game, and it's absolutely not what they were looking for. It's really bad because you lose retention. Like you can even have bad reviews and stuff like this. So you need the player to be sure of what he's clicking on and to play that what he's expecting to play. And so I think merge was the main word we kept, and it works great right now. But for the multiplayer, it's Jabu Jabu Party. And so we tried a few stuff as well for the multiplayer. And then we will have a versus as well. So we're tinkering around and trying to find the good proper name for the worlds.
How much planning, like you talked about trailers and testing with different naming conventions. How much planning do you do around when you're going to launch a new world? Do you need to have all of that ready up front, or is it more like launch and iterate? What do you like to do?
I mean, for anything, for any test, you need to know what question you want to answer. So it depends on the question. If I want to test core gameplay, for example, I don't really care about marketing assets. If I want to test acquisition, test this stuff, obviously it's going to be marketing assets, and I will care less about retention metrics, for example. So it depends on the type of game you're doing, but sometimes it's important to test retention or acquisition first, more than core gameplay, because you know core gameplay works. You are working on it, it's not finished, but you need to test acquisition. So you work on the marketing assets at this time. But if you're not sure about your core loop, as Eugene said, test the core loops with any visual, like you have enough players to test. So it's really depending on what you're trying to build and to know about your product, I think. Yeah.
I would also add that like doing a lot of play testing early on is crucially important. You know, like as soon as you can gray box, just get people in there and like as many people as you can and get that feedback. One thing we do as a company, like every Friday, we block out like an hour or two of time, and then everyone from the whole company will jump in to different games that we're making, and we'll just get this feedback really quickly, and then that impacts our designs.
I mean, I don't think you ever stop iterating, like
Yeah.
literally at every stage of the process. I mean, when you're developing, like it's rare that you just come up with an idea and it's just, perfectly packaged. Like you have to kind of work at it. And then during the build process, you learn stuff too. Like you learn what's fun about your game as you're building it. And obviously you have a roadmap and a timetable and you want to stay on those as best you can, but there should be opportunities to focus on things that you might not have expected. And like the example actually we were talking about before was like we had these in Yeet Yourself, we had these obstacles, and the idea was that like, okay, well you'll want to avoid them, they'll slow you down, but when you hit them, they kind of explode in this really satisfying kind of crash and like physics-based stuff flying all over the place. When we were playtesting it, we loved doing that so much that we were like trying to hit the obstacles every single time because that effect was just so good. And it's like, well, why are we penalizing players for this? So now you're trying to hit the obstacles, you're getting scrap and resources, which you can use to upgrade your craft and buy customizations. And that just came from kind of following the fun and figuring out like, yes, this wasn't in the original vision, but this is better. So let's pursue that.
I love that. So staying flexible too, like having your original vision, but being okay to make changes and pivot along the way.
If I can add on this, on Jabu Jabu, it's fun because it's supposed to be like a chill, cozy puzzle game when you merge stuff. But the main driver is competition. Like people became obsessed with getting the highest score in the game, which is not something we built the game for, but we had a cool score system, really juicy. You get your score popping up and stuff. And people, became obsessed with the leaderboards. So we decided to put the leaderboard in the core loop. Like after every session, the leaderboard is displayed because we wanted to encourage competition after we discovered that it was the main driver for the game.
Yeah, I know I, for one, have played with plenty of leaderboards with this crew and going back and forth on who's beating who.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. But it was not planned like this. It was supposed to be a chill, cozy experience.
But to me, like this is the power of UDC platforms that you can release early. Like you don't have to sit for 5 years and work on one game and then wait for a big release. But instead, you like instantly upload a new version and you get the feedback from the players themselves and you see where that takes the game. So I think we should really embrace that instead of having these like huge plans. We should go with the flow a bit more.
That's a great point. So I want you all to be thinking about some questions. I'm going to take questions from the audience. We have a couple of microphones on either side, and I think we're going to get one in the middle in a second. So start thinking about your questions. But to close us off here, I'd love to hear a little bit more about collaboration and this awesome community, knowing that we have so many great creators in-house. Can you tell me a little bit about how you like to collaborate with Worlds? I'll start with you, Nick.
Yeah, so I mean, we take the same approach on all the different platforms we activate on. We go straight into the community and we try to learn about the platform, learn about the games, what's trending, what works. Also try to collaborate with actual creators and bring them on and build teams that way. Because you're really working with organic devs that understand the platform so well. And then over time, build those relationships. And if we start investing in the platform, then some of those people will join our team in full-time capacity often. So that's our perspective. And really, I mean, I think the success of our game, Yeet Yourself, is, we couldn't have done it without Eugene. It would have just been a game that's like pretty good, but not awesome, because the learning curve is hard when you get into these platforms, and that's normal. But I think you can sort of, you can cut the line by partnering with the amazing community, which is all you guys.
Yeah, I mean, from my point of view, it's like the exact other side of the coin where I probably could have built Yeet Yourself by myself, but it wouldn't have worked as well. It wouldn't have looked as good, right? There wouldn't be as much stuff in it. There'd be the worst UI you've ever seen, right? And so I think, for me, who comes from a background of just building all my own stuff, I see collaboration as just a way to build bigger things. And it's really cool not to have to kind of cabbing your ideas to your own abilities. And so by collaborating and expanding yourself, you can really realize these ideas, which are just much bigger than you even thought they could be.
And Gustav, when we were talking earlier too, it was really special the way you were talking about the community of creators in Horizon. Obviously, you have experience on other platforms as well, but can you talk a little bit about what makes this community special?
Wow, yeah. So first of all, like we are new to this community. I don't know anyone here, and that's a bit frightening, especially like on the other platforms when we have started out. Sometimes people have been a bit hostile, saying like you are professional developers entering a platform, and they can be a bit hostile. It takes a lot of time to build trust. So kudos to Nick for managing to do that so quickly. But it's also very, very important. Now, these days, we are accepted in the other communities. We do a lot of collaborations with the devs, and that is important because they know the platform much, much better than we are. But we're here because we want to learn it and want to get to know the other devs as well.
Awesome, awesome. Well, I'd love to open it up to the audience if anyone wants to be the brave soul to stand up. Awesome. See a few people coming to the mic.
Well,
Hello,
Yo.
hey.
What's up?
Matt Tellison, Horizon World. So, question for y'all, and MHCP mentioned, just want to give a little more context. Question for y'all. What I really love about Connect, and specifically creator panels, is that we get to have this like moment where we get to tap into your minds of like, oh, that's how you're doing your like secret magic, right? What would you say is like your biggest barrier to doing something along the lines of like creating devlogs or creating like a one-pager that could be shared out in a more tangible form so that people can use this knowledge maybe even sooner in your development process? And if you have been making devlogs, Eugene, what would you say to other studios might be in this room right now, to encourage them to share as well?
Well, I mean, I think the early days of Horizon were so collaborative and kind of so open. This was before monetization, so so you kind of felt free to just tell anyone anything. I think that kind of set a standard with the creator community that is just really special, and so I do try to make myself open to anyone who wants to chat about anything. I write about this stuff. I share my thoughts about it. And it kind of comes from that collaborative spirit of the earlier days. I hope we do maintain that, even as more studios and folks come in, because there's just a lot of knowledge from the community itself. So I would say sometimes you want to play your cards a little close to the vest, and that totally makes sense. But I think the more you kind of expand, the more you open up, like the more you get as well. So that would be my message to studios coming in about kind of empowering the collaborative spirit.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's instinctual to not share information because we're all competing, right? But I think that I've shifted my dynamic, and now I try to learn as much as I can. I try to share as much as I know, and we compete pretty fiercely with the gang over on Roblox side. But we're friends. We collaborate on stuff. We partner on stuff, and it's made us stronger because of it.
So the enemy is not other creators, it's Roblox.
Yeah.
That's a great reframing it. Hello, Alexander, aka Storming Decker. A lot of other games in our target demo, I'm thinking like Gorilla Tag, Animal Company, or even like Rec Room I was for, or like even Fortnite, they are reliant for promotional material in some ways with a video partner program. Like they have a pool of influencers that they fund and they help. And that is, for our key demo, really effective. Like essentially re-engage with influencers in so many ways. But Horizon does not have a native ecosystem for influencers. So you, as part of the promotional push for your games, how do you bridge that gap and how you recommend others would do it?
One thing we did, we treated Jabu Jabu like a normal mobile game. That's what we did in the company. We use the same thing that mobile industry is doing, trying to do TikToks and acquisition, working with influencers and stuff like this. and try to do viral video, which is the main thing I try to do. And it was quite successful, except like currently, as I said, the funnel to bring players into Worlds is a bit messy, but they are working a lot on that to improve it. So we have good hopes it's going to be better. But I would say, yeah, try to do what you usually do. Like acquisition is almost the same with any games, like except maybe indie title or really niche thing. But we need, I think, broad audience, try to reach to popular creators. We worked with mobile influencers and also VR influencers. And we got some pretty good numbers on TikToks for Jabu Jabu. So I think it's still possible to reach to this audience in there. Yeah.
Okay, awesome. Thank you very much.
I'll say if you're doing it yourself, if like you're just posting on social media yourself, the main thing is consistency. Post every single day. It doesn't matter if it's bad. It doesn't matter if it's just you building, like, and you'll languish in the 200 views prison for a little bit, but just keep doing it, and it'll slowly start to grow.
Hey, Matthias here. I see a couple familiar faces up here. So with the new Horizon Studio coming out, I'm just curious what you guys are looking forward to in that, and what types of ideas you may be cooking behind the scenes that you're willing to share with us.
Well, one thing I'm super excited about is just the art fidelity. You know, the lighting changes, all this stuff. Like Sawhorse, we're one of the leaders in the visual fidelity across UGC gaming platforms. We're kind of known for it. Our teams are built of 3D artists, but also art directors and artists from the film industry. So they work together to make stuff look really crazy. And we really want to jump in as soon as possible to that tool and like have my team flex and cook, because I'm really excited on how Horizon's going to start looking, which I'm bullish on.
Concurrency is really exciting, not just for shoving a bunch of players into space, but like from a game design point of view. Because I actually don't, I think it's a mistake to like, take a world that can support, let's say 10 people and be like, cool, now it's 50 people. Like, you have to actually design for that level of concurrency, which is honestly something I've just not done before. So I'm really excited for that challenge. I have some ideas for, what that could look like. But I think it's just kind of, once you allow for those capabilities, it just opens up this whole new avenue of creativity that was not available before. So that's very exciting.
And yeah, I'm a programmer, so source control.
Yeah.
Good answer. Good answer.
I'm excited for this too.
Merging code.
Yeah.
Thanks, you guys.
Thank you.
Hey, Anderson Dahl. His first question is, so I have two. This is kind of a softball for Gustav. I'm a fellow Scandinavian.
Oh, nice.
Does Big Jim have anything to do with the toy?
No.
So there was this like action figure toy like back in the 80s that looked like literally like kind of like Ken, but was like actually cool. Had like all this. So then my question for the whole group is like, I'm interested how you guys are thinking about specifically more of the AI NPC features that are being developed. Like, they're going to come everywhere, right? In every UGC platform. Like, what do you think are their strengths? Yeah, like I'm just kind of curious how you're looking at those tools.
We are actually experimenting with a lot of this currently outside of Horizon World, just on other projects. And I think it's extremely interesting that what you can do with this kind of tech. And it's still, I think it's still for the same for all the AI thing is you still need humans to prepare stuff and do a bit of groundwork for this. And then with the AI, you can experiment a lot. And I think it's going to be really interesting, especially in the Horizon World, when you have this social experience and you might need a bit of pushing interaction a bit up sometimes to boost the world. I think it's really cool. And our next game is a narrative game with NPCs. So we are experimenting as well with it to flesh a bit the story and add elements to it. So I think, it might be really interesting to use in the future. Yeah.
I think like it's a tool, but it's not the one tool that will solve everything. Like we actually had a discussion like the first day about this, and we said like AI is kind of like a blender. Like it's great for making a smoothie, but then you want to make like steak and frites, and you're not going to put that in a blender. So, but yeah, it's a great tool.
Yeah, I mean, I think the challenge is how do you have a player have an emotional experience with something that is an AI NPC, which is really just kind of reactive. And I think that is a design challenge, right? Which we are all very well equipped to solve. But I think that's I think that the pitfall of is like, wow, I can put it right here in my world, and now it'll talk to players. It's like, okay, about what, right? So I think it's actually more about creating the context around the AI NPC, where you actually care what they say, where it actually has some impact on you, and I think that's challenging. I played around with this. I created a tarot card reader. So you're actually choosing tarot cards, getting 5 random cards, and then the LLM, which was amazingly trained on tarot reading data, will actually weave together a narrative from those tarot cards. And it is individual to every single user. Because of the nature of tarot card reading, it feels really personal, and so they actually have an experience with it, right? But that's not a product of the LLM. It's like you kind of have to find a way to make it personal.
I agree with all that, and I would just add that we do so much branded work, and brands really care about how they're presented, and that poses a challenge because we can't control exactly what's coming out of the mouth of the NPC. So from a creative standpoint, yeah, I want to work with it, but from a brand safety point, it's going to be really challenging.
Thank you.
And I think we have 2 more questions, which is perfect timing. So let's go over here first.
Hello.
Hello.
I'm Sonny. I've been doing UGC and Fortnite for like 6 years now. And one of the main things to externally promote the Fortnite maps is TikTok and short form content and stuff. So I'm wondering, because Fortnite already has a huge audience, so you already have people going on TikTok looking for maps. Now for Horizon Worlds, how does it convert when it's kind of like a much smaller audience than Fortnite?
Yeah, as I said, it's a challenge.
Yeah, you covered it a little bit already, but
yeah,
it's got to grow.
Yeah.
So it is challenging, of course, but it also means that small moves have bigger impacts.
Yeah.
Like for Fortnite, if you can get a handful of players to your world for a Fortnite map, like you get a handful of players from a TikTok video, that's probably not going to move the needle very much.
No.
For Horizon, though, a handful of people coming to your world that weren't going to be there, and then telling their friends, "Hey, check this out," just given the size, given the social dynamics of the platform, can actually have an impact. And I think that was some of my early success was, I said before about consistency, is every day that I would be building stuff, and I was building stuff every single day for many hours a day, I would, make time to film something, throw it on my TikTok. It wasn't polished, it wasn't, it wasn't like glossy influencer type stuff, but it was consistent. It kept showing what I was making. People started slowly to get interested. And even if that wasn't big enough to, let's say, move the needle for a Roblox or a Fortnite map, for Horizon, I think it really had just helped with traffic.
And one thing as well is that as it gets more integrated into Instagram, Facebook and stuff, users are going to getting used to this flow. And I think conversion number is going to get way better than...
Yeah, I can see that in the future for sure.
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
Awesome. Right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Hello.
Hardy West. I was just kind of had 2 questions, but you got time for one question?
One question.
Okay. So
One question.
yeah, how, we got Halloween coming up, we got Christmas coming up. How much in advance do you guys prepare for that? Have you guys started preparing for that? So how early do you start thinking about those times of the year or events like that?
I would say start thinking about it as early as you possibly can. If you've got a game that you really want to focus on, what type of what does that live ops calendar look like throughout the year? So I know just speaking from experience on Roblox, Halloween's a huge moment. So it's almost every single top game has a plan going into Halloween months in advance. They figure out what avatars they're creating, how they're reskinning their environments, what quest systems they're doing. Then that launches a month before Halloween. And then, so that's at least 2 months of planning.
Yeah, so same. Yeah, plan way ahead. We plan for an entire year of live ops, and then we build stuff as it goes, to be ready. As Nick said, months in advance for each event. So it depends on the amount of content you are building specifically for this period. But yeah, if you want to build a lot of stuff, you have to prepare really early for this. Yeah.
Or you can wait for inspiration to hit and then just iterate really quickly. And I think that's, live ops has been a theme that we've been discussing a lot. Honestly, I find it difficult to have a year-long live ops calendar. When Samurai Tycoon first came out, I did like 3 new swords every other week, and it almost killed me. Like that was, it's hard and it takes a lot of work. So I think if you don't have a huge studio where you can do that, I would say think about the things that will have the most impact and try to time them to thematic seasons. And so like an example, I have found, and this was actually from the metrics of Samurai Tycoon, that like new swords, which are basically the same thing just with like a cooler skin, right, that you're using, we're not getting churned players to return. They didn't care about getting a new sword because the game was the same. What really got a lot of new players to return was when I added a new area of the map where you could do the same thing you were doing before, but in a slightly new context. I created this thing called like sword parkour. So if you can add actual features and add kind of functionality, that's what gets people really excited. And then if you can couple that with something seasonal like Halloween, I think that has a lot more impact, and that's also just a lot more doable for a smaller scale studio.
Thank you.
Awesome. Really, really great questions, and appreciate you all so much for taking the time to join us here today. Last question, quick kind of rapid fire. What are you most excited about upcoming?
Yeah, I would just say, merging the family of apps into Horizon World, growing the audience base is gonna, if Meta can do that, it's gonna be a massive game changer. So I'm bullish on it, I'm excited, and yeah.
Element Battling League Season 3, starting soon. So that's extremely exciting. We've got a lot of great competition. I'm really excited about the mobile games. I just put out Goblin Wrangler with the team, put out Magnet Dream just about a week ago. I love these games so much, and so I'm really excited about seeing more like cozy games in Horizon. So that, for me, is just creatively, it's really satisfying. So I'm really looking forward to that.
Cool, thanks.
We're releasing our second game on Horizon in October, so of course that's exciting. But also like the new engine. I can't wait to check it out and see what games we can make.
Amazing.
Yeah, as I said, we have 2 new games coming next month. And so I'm really excited, but as you guys said, like new engine, new users, more stuff. I think we have great time ahead, so I think it's going to be really cool. Yeah.
Thank you so much. And for those of you that haven't yet joined MHCP, we have a QR code up here. It's really easy to join, and you can get connected and get access to this community. We have community forums, amazing mentors, and a whole lot of educational materials and programming to help you build your worlds and build your dreams in Horizon. Next up, if you all are sticking around, we have an awesome session on Gen AI. So learning more about how you're building worlds faster, and experimenting, I think, is what we really heard about too, like get to quick experimentation with Gen AI. So that's coming up next, and thank you all for joining us.
Thank you.